aftermath of NSA's violence, presidency continues reacting to destruction and looting by hoodlums. And more appeal for calm on the NSA's protest. These are the highlights on Panorama this Monday. I'm Ian Ray John. Thank you for joining us. The presidency has continued to react to the aftermath of destruction caused by looters masquerading under the NSA's protest, with President Buhari condemning violent acts and calling for peace. Najatu Tijani reports.
In a statement signed by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari condemned the loss of lives and appealed for peace and brotherhood, expressing optimism that the judicial panel of inquiry set up by the Lagos state government will assist the nation in getting justice to peaceful protesters who lost their lives, security men who were murdered, and property owners whose assets were vandalized and looted. The president said he avoided going into a debate about the Lekki tollgate incident until all facts were established. Appeal to the good people of Nigeria to maintain peace and brotherhood as the machinery of the government and the wheel of justice turn against the perpetrators of murder, arson, stealing, rape, assault, and malicious damage to public and private property. Advising Nigerians not to turn against one another in hate, President Buhari says it is important that the police and other security agencies continue to restore calm and normalcy as quickly as possible. He says his administration is working hard through many pragmatic ways to reduce the hardship of millions of unemployed, warning that resorting to widespread attacks and organized looting and plundering of public and private property in many states are inimical to public good and stand condemned. As a government which has launched a massive crackdown on corruption is saddened that a legitimate and peaceful protest has turned into a free-for-all vandalism and looting. Families must turn back children who bring home unaccounted goods in the same way wives must ask their husbands to return looted items brought home. Criminal actions being witnessed can weaken and erode the confidence of people and that of foreign businesses in investing in the economy. These incidents, the president says, do not reflect well on any society. They are wrong and condemnable and should not be supported by reasonable members of the society. In line with this, President Buhari commends the decision of the Lagos State Ministry of Justice to prosecute 229 suspects arrested by the police for allegedly using the NSA's protest to destroy and loot public and private property. The president says his administration has taken note of the grievances of the people and has shown a clear determination to take all necessary measures to address the complaints. The violence must stop, President Buhari says, and condemns hate messages and eviction notices to ethnic and religious groups. The right of all citizens to live and work in any part of the country is a constitutional right and will be defended by the government.
Meanwhile, a high-level stakeholders meeting held in Yobe State has reiterated stakeholder support to the federal government. The meeting also appealed to protesting youths to choose the paths of dialogue and allow government to fulfill its outlined promises on reforming the police, among other measures. Mustafa Yusuf Musa reports.
With no youth protests for or against the NSAS in Yobe State, the stakeholders meeting, which attracted all the 14 first-class emirs, national and state lawmakers, heads of security personnel, political and public office holders, deliberated extensively on the ongoing violent youth protests in some parts of the country and declared their support to the federal government. Leading the proceedings, the Minister of State for Works, Engineer Abubakar Aliu, and Governor Mai Malabuni appealed to the protesting youths to see reason and stop the violent protests as the federal government has lined up measures to meet up with their demands. The stakeholders believe that for progress and development to take place, tolerance, dialogue, and strategic engagement to resolve all differences must come to play for peace and unity in the country. In Damaturu, Mustafa Yusuf Musa, NTA News.
Similarly, worried by the increase in cases of vandalism and looting of public and private property in Plateau State and other parts of the country, various interest groups are interfacing with the Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talon, in Jos towards changing the violent narratives. Rinred Sylvanus Lott reports that the key players at the meeting are appealing for calm.
Between the minister and the various interest groups is as a result of recent attacks on government and private facilities by hijackers of the NSAS protests. Mrs. Talon, overtaken by pain, said she is appealing to leaders of the various groups on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari to be patient and calm, as government is committed to meeting the demands of Nigerians.
It is no longer NSAS, it is something else that we all need to rise up as leaders in the land, as religious leaders, for us to cry out to God and to do the needful so that we can calm the situation on the plateau. It's quite worrisome, and I believe prayer is the key.
Issues of poverty, unemployment, and inadequate social amenities were identified as responsible for recent happenings in the country. Leaders of the various groups appeal to government to be more inclusive in governance and objective in tackling the issues, especially of youths who are the strength of any nation.
It is without doubt that we condemn in total the attitude of, not the attitude of our youth, but the attitude of the hoodlums, the miscreants, the criminals that eventually creep in and hijack the aim and objectives of these NSAS agitators.
We commend the government of President Muhammadu Buhari for taking measures that, to meet the demands of the protesters in good time.
We expected, is that the president should have come out immediately, probably locate those officers and prosecute them immediately, openly, just as what happened in the case of George Floyd in the United States.
The minister assured all the groups that their grievances will be taken to the president. She interfaced with leaders of CAN, JNI, women groups, and the youths. In Jos, Rinred Sylvanus Lott, NTA News.
In a related development, the Minister for Health, Dr. Osagi Hanuri, has accompanied Edo State Governor, top government functionaries and heads of security agencies on an inspection tour of the pharmaceutical warehouse in Benin, vandalized by hoodlums. During the inspection, the governor announced government's intention to unravel the cause of the breach at the Edo State pharmaceutical warehouse.
The medical store warehouse serves as safekeeping facility for medicaments and equipment supplies. It serves all hospitals in the state. There were visible remains of large quantities of vaccines and other drugs and equipment scattered all over the vicinity. Governor Baseki described the action as anti-NSAS protesters. He wondered why looters would damage what belongs to them, especially when the state government is doing all it can to strengthen the healthcare system.
The amount of destruction and theft that would have occurred here will be running into hundreds of millions. This is a healthcare system that is already weak, that we are trying to do all we can to strengthen with the assistance of the federal government and other agencies.
The Health Minister, Dr. Osagi Hanuri, said it is unfortunate that funds which ought to be spent on other needs of the people will be rechanneled into purchasing the stolen drugs.
Very disappointed. They will probably regret what has become of it. It's going to be very difficult for Edo State because all the things that have been damaged or vandalized here now somehow or the other have to be replaced.
The Commissioner of Police revealed that over 50 persons have been arrested in connection with the looting of the medical storehouse. He debunked allegations that live ammunition were used on the people.
Heading to the the plateau now, over 200 curfew violators and looters in Jos have been arrested and paraded by Operation Safe Haven as hoodlums continue to ransack government facilities and pirate property in Jos. Abba Abubakar Yakub reports that in the early hours of Sunday, youths in their hundreds broke into the State Ministry of Agriculture ADP warehouse in Dogon Duse in Jos Township, where they carted away bags of fertilizer, water pumping machines and other farming equipment.
Following the directive of government at reinstatement of 24-hour curfew in Jos North and Jos South local government areas, officers of the Operation Safe Haven apprehended some youths who looted properties as well as violating the curfew order. These array of suspects have been arrested from Dogon Duse in Nasarawa area, where the Plateau State Agricultural Development Agency PADP warehouse has been ransacked and looted. Some of the items recovered from the suspect include fertilizers, water pump machine, knapsack, insecticides and other farm inputs. Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Chukwuemeka Okonkwo, said the operation will ensure peace and order is restored within the state capital and other parts of the state. He added that the apprehended looters will eventually be handed over to appropriate authority, and this will serve as deterrent to others.
Running from there, as we just run, we just enter somebody's house. Now they just enter, catch us. We are two when they catch us from there.
When we were at home, we are in our neighborhood, we had a gunshot around our neighborhood, so we came out to check what was going on. When we were out, soldiers came out, told us that we are the one in charge of these palliative.
As at the time of filing in this report, security agencies are on patrol to ensure normalcy in every part of Jos. In Jos, Abba Abubakar Yakubu, NTA News.
And still on the destruction and looting in different parts of the country, one person is said to have lost his life and many others wounded as a result of a stampede when hoodlums broke 3 stores and carted away food items and other relief materials in Adamawa State. Correspondent Ryan Ubala reports that following the development, Governor Amadu Umar Fintiri has since imposed 24 hours curfew in Yola to restore law and order.
The youths in their numbers broke the federal government silos in Kwananwaya, Central Store Damilu and Cooperative Store, all in Yola, and carted away food items and other relief materials meant for victims of insurgency, flood, communal clashes, as well as victims of farmer-herder clashes. The development led to the death of a teenager as a result of stampede, while many others sustained various degrees of injury during the act. The Adamawa State Police Command says the situation is under control as necessary security measures have been put in place to restore law and order.
We are now monitoring compliance. Where there is no compliance, that is when enforcement will now come in.
Meanwhile, Governor Ahmad Umar Fintiri has imposed a 24-hour curfew.
We cannot allow hoodlums and misguided elements to operate unchallenged when we are already battling with the challenges of insecurity, kidnapping, cattle rustling, banditry, and farmer-herders clashes. In view of the above, I have declared and imposed an indefinite down-to-dusk curfew throughout the state.
In Yola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
The situation is not different in Kaduna as Nigerians have been asked to be more vigilant about the sources of food and drugs they take, as some of the items looted by hoodlums from Kaduna NAFDAC warehouse are expired and some contain chemical preservatives, while others are fake drugs. The state acting governor, Hadiza Balarabi, gave the advice while assessing the level of destruction at the warehouse in Kaduna. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
The looters broke through this wall to gain access to the warehouse where beans treated with chemical preservatives were kept. They carted away a number of bags.
This is where most of them left their shoes when the security men strike in to stop them from carting away these food items.
Benedict Augustine is the storekeeper.
As you can see many damages here. All this kekena pepe. They came to carry soya beans. So now the security operative now came and threw tear gas, all of them, they ran away.
A Private residence and NAFDAC office in Barnawa were also vandalized and looted, a development that is now generating fear and anxiety in the minds of many, as most of the drugs carted away by the hoodlums are fake and expired, certified by the authorities as highly harmful for human consumption.
Now, for people who think that they will take these items, it is very harmful to their health. It can lead to long-term complications. It can lead to death. So they should be careful. So there are consequences for what they have done. And I hope that they will be, should I say, clever enough to return those things so that they can be appropriately disposed by NAFDAC.
The National Emergency Management Agency warehouse in Kaduna was not spared by the hoodlums. I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
It is indeed a sad development because at about 3 p.m. this Sunday, some hoodlums broke into two warehouses belonging to National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, at Jabi Dakibu in Abuja, cutting away some items. Ayena J. Auta has a situation report.
This is all that is left of the two warehouses that were vandalized by hoodlums. According to an eyewitness, the people broke into the place and picked bags of guinea corn, some electronics, mattresses, stationaries, among other items.
People gathered around here, Jabi Dakibu, as they suspected it is a warehouse for palliative. They started government palliative. They started searching the building, and after all, they overpowered the police and the army that are trying to secure the place. After overpowering them, they entered. Some of them were lucky to have mattresses inside, computer items, some of them food items, and also vegetable oils.
Though the people refused to talk on camera, some passers-by say security operatives could not contain the angry youths. But as at the time of filing this report, the situation had been brought under control as armed security men had taken over the area. Ayena J. Auta, NTA News.
In a swift reaction, the Nigerian Governors Forum has called on Nigerians to disregard allegations from some media quarters accusing it of hoarding COVID-19 palliatives aimed at assuaging plights of the vulnerables. The forum says the palliatives, which were parts of the goodwill of Nigeria business community through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, had up to 10 states to cover as at mid of October 2020. The forum regretted the tragic looting at the strategic warehouse in Lagos as well as other parts of the country where consignments were stored ahead of the projected second wave of COVID-19. NGO says it has remained committed to the welfare and security of the people and has shown adequate concern over the alleged brutality of the disbanded SARS, as well as instituted measures to address demands raised by genuine protesters. The forum advised citizens not to undermine the good efforts of government in ensuring that the economy is put in good shape for the benefit of humanity and the country. If you just joined us, this is Panorama, live on the network service of the NTA. Time for a break. Do stay.
The recent genuine concerns and agitations by Nigerians about the excessive use of force and in some cases extrajudicial killings and wrongful conduct by men of the Nigerian police force. The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reform in order to ensure that the primary duty of the police and other law enforcement agencies remains the protection of lives and livelihoods of our people. We will also ensure that all those responsible for misconduct or wrongful acts are brought to justice. We also deeply regret the loss of life of the young man in Oyo State during the recent demonstrations. I have directed that the circumstances of his death should be thoroughly investigated. Meanwhile, it is important to recognize that the vast majority of men and women of the police force are hardworking and diligent in performing their duties. The few bad eggs should not be allowed to tarnish the image and reputation of the force.
Thank you for staying. Speaker, House of Representatives, Southwest governors and ministers have paid a condolence visit to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the people of the state following the aftermath of the NSAS protest, which resulted in loss of lives, looting and destruction of public and private property. Nosa Osula reports.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in company of state government officials, took the Southwest governors and ministers from the region on an inspection of some areas, which included Igboshere High Court, City Hall, Lagos State DNA and Forensic Center, Lekki Toll Plaza, among others that were razed and vandalized in the coordinated attacks by arsonists. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the Southwest governors, led by its chairman, Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, as well as ministers from the region, said they were in Lagos to sympathize and commiserate with those that lost their lives and property.
I want to reiterate that the House will do all it can to make sure that everybody that has suffered from police violence, whether you're from the north, from the east, from the west, because everybody in Nigeria suffered from police violence, not just those of us from the southwest. That will be applicable to all, including policemen that lost their lives in this unfortunate incident.
We will not allow brigandage, and we should not, all of us. And wanton destruction of lives and property within Southwest, within the whole of Southwest, and all of us governors are prepared to fight for this.
Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who led the federal government's delegation, urged residents to embrace peace and work together in unity for a greater Lagos.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Away from Lagos, but still on security, the air and land components of Operation Thunderstrike have neutralized scores of armed bandits on a joint offensive operation to clear identified bandits in the Yadi and Kofai Shantu areas of Giwa local government area, Kaduna State. The operation, which was executed on 24 October 2020 on the heels of credible intelligence reports and aerial surveillance, helped in the identification of the bandits' leader and his fighters' hideouts. The first wave of the air component airstrike, which involved 7 Nigerian Air Force aircraft, destroyed some of the target structures and neutralized several bandits. The second wave of the attacks, which targeted the bandits' hideout at Kofai Shantu, also incapacitated the bandits and reduced resistance to the ground troops advanced towards Yadi. The land component, supported by an attack helicopter, successfully assaulted another target named Halilu at a hideout. The ground troops subsequently fought through fierce resistance from bandits hiding under the foliage at the third objective and eventually overpowered the criminals, eliminating them. Let's now have a bit of sports, and Manzi Marcus will feed us.
The Nigeria Football Federation has fixed Wednesday, October 28 as tentative date for the technical crew of the Golden Eagles to open camp in Abuja and plan for Group B qualifying matches of the AFCON Under-17 Championship in Morocco in 2021. Spokesman of the football ruling body, Ademola Olajire, confirmed the date on Sunday to NTA Sports. In a related development, members of the local organizing committee are working hard towards a successful maiden edition of of Aminu Bello Masari Preseason Football Competition in Katsina. 8 teams are expected to compete from October 29 to November 7 at Muhammadu Diko Stadium, but without fans due to coronavirus restrictions. Despite the resurgence of COVID-19 in some parts of the world, Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koika is assuring the world of a memorable Olympics with the inauguration of the Aquatic Center built in Tokyo at a cost of $523 million. Members of the organizing committee hope to welcome swimmers and divers to the center in July 2021 with a seating capacity of 15,000, but organizers have yet to decide on whether fans will be allowed into venues during the games. Russia's Habib Nurmagomedov has called time on his mixed martial arts professional career following a second-round submission victory over Justin Gaethje of the United States. He thus retained his undisputed UFC lightweight championship title in Abu Dhabi. The 32-year-old retired with an enviable record of 29 wins and no defeat in 8 years, but lost his father, who was equally his coach, Abdul Manap, in July due to coronavirus complications. I talked to my mother 3 days ago. She didn't want me to fight without my father, but I promised her it's going to be my last fight, and if I give my word, I have to follow this, he said. Response update, Manzi Marcus, NTA News.
And that's our package on Panorama this Monday. Many thanks for investing your time with us. Please join us again at 4 for Nationwide. I'm Ian Ray John. Enjoy.